Welcome to the Awesome Practice Northwest. We're going to be talking about how to get your 2021 plans nailed in 10 simple steps today during this session. And by the way, welcome to 2021. I bet you spent all last year having the best year ever and planning to kill it in 2021. No? Well, with closures, lockdowns, exposure concerns, hygienists afraid to come back to work, patients staying home, there was plenty to worry about. And yet some practices did exactly that, had their best year ever, put plans in place to have an even better year this year, and many are Fortune clients. My name is Phil Bride, managing partner of Fortune Northwest. I handle Tacoma to Ashland, Pacific Crest Trail to the coast. We're going to walk through the 10 simple steps that can help you get the same thing. These steps make plans already in place work better and help those plans not in place get going. Let's dive into it. Number one, it's play a bigger game. Are you bold or timid? Those who are bold ask for more and get more time for themselves, more patience, better patience, more teamwork, excellent patient wow experience, and of course, more profits. So set your vision high. It is an ideal to strive for, not really a goal, not a long-term goal. A vision is an ideal. So you set your 30-day, 90-day, 180-day, the 1, 3, 5, 10, 20-year goals just out of reach. By the way, no sandbagging in that. I've had plenty of clients set sandbagging goals and they go, look, we accomplished every one of our goals to 100%. Nope, you want to set goals that are just beyond what you can do. So set your goals high, just out of reach. Things like production goals, net collection goals, scheduling to goal per day, per provider, team building, leadership, new patient, the patient wow experience, all these things, recare effective rate, perio goals, and then the long-term goals, things like production growth, patient growth, quality of patients, top-tier teams, and of course, everything should be, because you're in business, revolving around more wealth, more valuation in those goals. So set bold goals, be bold about it. What does it mean to play a bigger role in this world around the big goals? What does that mean? What I'd like you to do is take a moment and write down for yourself, what does it mean to play a bigger role? To set your goals big. What does it mean to you? I'll give you about, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. There's a second question here. The second question is, what are 3 thoughts, beliefs, or habits that really hold you back? Hold you back from achieving those goals, those things that you really want to achieve? What's holding you back on that? And take a moment to write those down. These things are limiting beliefs. They're things that you keep telling yourself that just block your ability to move forward. Take a moment, write those down. The next question, and this is a key question, key in this, and it's a follow-on to the other 2. What are 3 ways, 3 things you can adopt to become the person you really meant to be? 3 things that you can adopt, change. In his book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, Marshall Goldsmith describes what you must challenge in your attitudes, your approaches, and goals to get you to the next level. Things that you've got to do differently to move you beyond. It's all a progression and it doesn't stop. Treat business and professional life in the same way as this progression. Take a moment and think about, write down 3 things that you will change. These are crucial in any business plan because the things that we've tried and worked on before and didn't achieve means there's a fundamental change that has to happen. The mental blocks, the attitudes, the beliefs, the limiting beliefs, we have to change those, adopt new ones. We have to think about ways we can change ourselves to be able to move beyond. Once we change ourselves, our teams change and everything starts to loosen up and movement starts happening in the business plan. So it is about the story you tell yourself. You know that radio station that goes off in your head, KRAP. You know it's time to change the channel when the channel keeps you in a worried state, a state of high cortisol, high tension, in the sympathetic state of mind, rather than the parasympathetic where you're creative and can solve problems. Change the channel when that channel tells you stories about situations you don't really know anything about and are making assumptions, jumping to conclusions. You become certain about this conclusion that you assumed that may have nothing to do with reality. So change the channel. Ask yourself these questions. What's the number one limiting belief I tell myself all the time that comes across on that channel, that KRAP radio station? What is that number one belief that you repeat time and time again? Get that in mind, jot it down, jot down a few words that help you remember it. Ask yourself, is it true? Does it have to be true? Can it be false? Is there something else that's more true than that? Does it serve you well? These are really important in project management, in the enrollment process, in the process of moving a patient through all the steps when they come to visit for their appointment. It is crucial that these assumptions be uncovered and removed so the roadblocks get out of the way and you can actually achieve your goals that you set. This is imperative because it flows from you out to the team, from the team out to the patients, and from the patients, their ability and willingness to pay and enroll in treatment, which affects your bottom line. So what new story can I tell myself that's positive, moves me and my team forward and the whole business forward? What can I tell myself? That's an important thing to do because that really sets the stage for understanding your business, understanding how to move it forward and to execute these plans exceptionally well. In any business, just like anything that we do at a professional level, it's know your numbers. Think of watching a professional basketball game or baseball game or whatever, where you don't see the scoreboard. You don't know what the score is. You don't know any of the stats about the players. You don't know anything about what's going on, or very little. Same thing in business. Know your numbers well. It turns out if you can measure it, you can manage it, and you can improve it. Just like a new patient exam or a comprehensive exam, periodic exam, you track certain metrics, the gum pockets, the incidence of suppuration, the recession, etc., all that stuff. You track all that stuff. It goes into the patient record. Well, business owners need to track key performance indicators or KPIs across the 5 business engines. Business owners need to know those. It's just part of being in business. It's imperative to do a good job, be professional at doing it. So know what happens immediately. So that means immediately, daily, at least, so you can make decisions today and right now. The obvious things are know your net production and net collection, the ratio between those, the pre-appointment rate ratio, the recare effectiveness rate, perio rate, actives, new patients, and more, all that stuff. That's the usual stuff that most people track. If you're not tracking that clearly or daily, start doing that, please. Expense ratios of hygiene, supplies, payroll. Those are very important thing to do on the financial side. Know your EBITDA, your net profit, your cash flow situation, and projections. Scheduling to goal, all the soot, sought and foot, all the scheduling, stay on time, start out on time, finish on time, all that stuff. How long does it take you to do treatments, and how much are you actually effective and efficient in doing that? AR and collections is another area to pay attention to, as well as the acceptance rate and enrollment rates. And there's a bunch more behind this. Each of these are metrics to track, but just tracking the numbers and knowing the numbers is good, not good enough. What you really need to do, what really must happen, and that's part of the planning process, is to set goals around each one of those. Incremental goals so you can keep moving ahead in the way you want. Increase efficiencies. And what that means is more time for yourself, more time to focus on developing treatment, maybe just more time off to relax and have a quality of life, and building more wealth for yourself, your team, your family, building health for your patients. All this folds into building this awesome practice that helps everybody involved in the practice. Growth really does snowball. It turns out growth can snowball just like snow rolling down a hill. However, there's a couple of things that have to happen first. You have to hit this critical point for it to grow without a lot of effort on your part. And the conditions have to be in place and just right. Well, with snow, it just happens. The weather causes it to happen. In a business, that's up to the leader. That's up to the owner. That's up to the doctor to get this critical point to happen, which means all the foundational work is in place to have it happen. Once it happens, it's a beautiful thing. I have a client that he's told me multiple times over the last 4 months, Phil, this is the first time in 4 years that I haven't had to deal with the day in and day out decisions. I still deal with them some, but most of them, I'm not involved in every one of them anymore. I'm focused more on developing my treatment and the way I want to do it. I'm the clinical director and the CEO now. I'm not worried about all the little this and that throughout the day. That's what we're talking about. That's the critical point by which he can start to really grow. And by the way, he is. The critical point happens with patients, and it starts out with you and your team. So it flows from you to your team to your patients. And it relies on your business skills, your leadership skills, your CEO skills. Yes, CEO. CEO, if you aren't familiar with it, Chief Executive Officer, the guy, the gal in charge, the one where the buck stops here. And your managerial skills, your ability to manage things and manage them well, and then train other people to manage in your place. This all sits squarely on 90 to 100-day business cycles with bold goals around those metrics we talked about. Bold goals, SMART goals, with the GERCO process, a decision framework process, firmly in place so that people know what to decide without getting you involved in every step of the way. So what does it mean to treat your business like a patient? Yes, treat your business like a patient. What does that mean? Do you assume that patients know how to care for their own oral health? Well, turns out most patients are adults after all. They have the internet access. They can look it up. They can watch YouTube videos and learn it all themselves. Hopefully you don't say that to people, although they could, and a lot of people do that. You still come in and help them. In fact, doctors, and I'm sure you do too, help patients along their journey, their health journey, their path to health. Doctors need patients in working with patients. Apparently that's why they're called patients, by the way, because we need patients dealing with that. Similarly, you need to help your business too along its journey to a vibrant, healthy business. That's what a CEO, a business owners, that's their primary job. Help the business move into a vibrant, healthy business. That means you know what a vibrant, healthy business looks like. You diagnose and treat problems, celebrate the successes, and enjoy the journey. So treat your business like a patient. Treat it well. Pay attention to the various aspects of it. Now, along that journey, number 6 here are the challenges. There are challenges everywhere. And we often feel like an underdog facing those challenges, and we need to put on our helmet, put on our goggles, and grit our teeth and charge into it. Well, it turns out challenges are often opportunities. In business, it happens all day, every day. And if you get through a day with no big challenges, celebrate it, because that's tends to be unusual. Does happen, happens more often sometimes, and sometimes things just crash. And that's the way it goes. But it's the choices we make to deal with them that really make the difference. The choices and the decisions we make on how to respond is what it's all about. Viktor Frankl, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, addresses this straight up. He was trying to figure out why people just fold and fall down and just kind of give up completely. And others in the toughest, absolutely toughest of situations can pull through. Still hard, still a challenge, but they can pull through. His conclusion was it comes down to our attitude, the choices we make about how we face these situations, whether we fold or step up. And that has to do with the stories we tell ourselves. The stories we tell ourselves are based on the words we use. Is it a challenge or an opportunity? Do we look at it as an opportunity to grow, or a challenge that we're like victim of these circumstances? Is it a bad day or a day filled with lessons to be learned? Is it a challenging patient or a patient that's crying out for help? They've had a bad morning, something bad happened to them, and they're worried, stressed out. And are you going to just dump on them and pile on and be reactive? Or are you going to help that patient settle down and get into the treatment they need to get into? It's the words we use for yourself and for your team. So take a moment, list the biggest challenge you have right now. What's the opportunity buried in that challenge? What is the opportunity buried in it? Okay, number 7, master your communication skills. Did you know the quality of your communication sets the quality of your life, your business? And did you realize communication is simply a set of skills? Don't confuse it with the gift of gab. It's not. It's not the gift of gab. Yes, some people have the gift of gab, and that is a personality trait. But communication is really a skill. CEOs, business owners spend their best quality time communicating in a quality way. They've mastered their communication skills. The ability to make a quality request and get a quality response are critical basic communication skills that every team, every business owner, every doctor really must master. You master those alone, just those 2 skills alone, it'll make a huge difference in any office. It makes a huge difference in your personal life. It makes a huge difference everywhere. Those 2 skills around communication can change everything. I've got a client, we've been working on the communication skills for several months. And over the last month and a half, they've come back and say, look, we are communicating and doing our quality communication on a regular basis. Yes, sometimes we mess up, and sometimes we get lost in, the tension of the moment. But things have improved dramatically. It's fun to come to work. It is fun to come to work, and we're looking for ways to build efficiencies in everything we do. In fact, they use these skills every day with each other and with patients, and they see excellent results. They turn difficult patients, difficult conversations around. They turn around these miscommunications. Some people even reported back. I heard it again last Friday at a team meeting. They use them at home and can see improvements right away with their kids, with their spouses, and it's like, wow, this stuff really does work. Yes, it does. Communicating your plans and what is key around your plans is what it's all about. Along with the communication goes knowing when to say yes. I've got a colleague, he's out of New York, he's writing a book. The book is called Know When to Say Yes. It's going to come out this fall of 2021. It's really an interesting twist of knowing to say no. And this is all about prioritizing. It's all about making decisions. We have to-do lists, and if you're really good about to-do lists, you have not to-do lists, which means you can prioritize things you're going to do and things you're not going to do, at least not now. That's priorities, decisions, time management. All these require a decision to say yes, which means that you're saying no to some other things, or at least not now to some other things, because you can't do everything at once. And in order to say yes selectively, you need to know your top priorities. You have to know, and you have to know, you need to know where you're going with much clarity. In order to know your priorities, you really need to know where you're going, pure and simple. The next thing you need to know is why you're going there, the why behind it. Why are you going out of your way to do this? What's your motivation for doing that? You also need to know what is acceptable on the way to get there. What's an acceptable way to get there? I'm flying from Portland to I'm going from Portland to New York. Well, the person I talked to arranged for me to take the train. What? No, I need to be there this evening. Train's not going to work. I need to know what's going to work. Or, yeah, I'm going over the summer. We're going to take a 2-week vacation. We're going to take 2 or 3 days to take the train across and maybe drive back. We're going to take time to do it the way we want to do it. The way you get there is very important, knowing what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And you need to know what milestones along the way to get there. All this forms what's called a decision framework. I call it a decision framework. The things we just walked through, knowing your priorities, where you're going, why you want to go there, what's acceptable along the way, and what milestones, those map to your vision, your values, your mission, your agreements, team agreements, your SMART goals, your GERCO decision framework, and monitoring, also known as the ultimate success formula. They all match to very specific things in business planning, which I'm sure you've been through business planning. This discussion we're going through is not the business plan, it's how to make the business plan very effective and get it really nailed down. Yes, we covered the kind of general categories within business planning, but this is how to make it actually work. I was president of a company for many years, and the chairman of the board of directors was also an ADP senior vice president. ADP, the large payroll company, and he would say, "Look, you've got to measure it. You've got to measure it to make it happen. First of all, that's number one. And the second thing is it's all about execution. And execution is crucial. You have to have this stuff in place to execute well. Execution is absolutely crucial. Number 9 is trust the process. There are best practices out there for a reason. Now imagine not prepping for a crown placement, not following the process. In fact, some doctors even have a patient flow based on fixing problematic crowns that just weren't done properly from another practice. The process wasn't not followed. Same thing with business. There are steps to follow, a process of best practices. Best practices are called best because they work. Worst practices simply don't work. Mediocre practices don't work well, and winging it doesn't work either. It's like just throwing it up to chance. You never know what's going to happen. So trust the process of business best practices. Fortune Management has spent over 30 years learning and co-developing best practices with doctors from around the US. Doctors that are extraordinary in what they're doing with their practices to build and grow vibrant dental practices. We know what works and what doesn't. It's imperative to adopt these best practices, learn them, and start to adopt them and fold them into everything you do. It becomes a way of life for you, your team, and ultimately your patients and your profits. Yes, there is always business involved here. So be consistent. Just like in sports, in music, in any skill, In dental skills, in treatment skills, frequent practice, honing those skills makes for exceptional work. It's not just a one and done. I want I went to a one-day workshop on golfing last year. I know how to play. Now, if I said that to you and you're a golfer, it's your turn to come back to me and say, okay, Phil, great. Let's go this weekend. By the way, high score buys. It's like, no, nope, is my answer then. Same in business. Take time weekly, if not daily, to work on your business. It absolutely will pay off. We spend all the time working in our business, doing the job, the job, of doing the clinical work, of running the business, of handling patients, of handling clients. We have to take time out frequently to work on our business to make things better. Keep working the small decisions. It turns out the small decisions, the hundreds, even thousands of micro decisions that happen every day with you, your team, affect the success of the business more than the big decisions. Big decisions can affect incremental progress. The small micro decisions affect the big multiple of progress in any one area. If you find yourself stuck, look at those micro decisions, and that has to do with communication and how well your team is executing. And that, my friends, has to do with how well the leadership drives everything forward through this. So being consistent, dealing with the small decisions, turning this into a way of life. I heard this and it just cracked me up. It's just like brushing your teeth. I brush once a week, but I do it for 30 minutes to make up for the days I missed. Okay, we all know that doesn't work. So please be consistent with your business, just like we're consistent with brushing our teeth and with our teeth maintenance. So, as we talked about earlier, you do periodic comprehensive exams. We have a business exam that we do for practices. It's a practice opportunities and analysis. And by the way, I'm going to do a recap next, just very quickly recap, then we'll wrap up and get the heck out of here. So this business exam covers the 5 business engines and 20 metrics across those 5 business engines, much like the metrics and measurements you do in a comprehensive exam. You cover all kinds of things so you know exactly what's going on, and then compare them to what you know is acceptable and healthy for a healthy mouth. We do the same thing to know what's healthy in a business. These things are, by the way, it's complementary. We do it across the 5 business engines, 20 business metrics, and comparison with industry standards. It normally is about a $2,500 value. We're doing a complimentary for people that we engage with and they're willing to talk to us. And that's because it's of such value. We do it for you. We'll go into it. You get about a 20-page PDF that is very comprehensive, very clear, lays it out. You can take it, run with it yourself. You can talk to us about it. It's up to you. It becomes yours. All you have to do is send me a message, send an email to Phil Bride at Fortune Management, fortunemgmt.com, or text me at the phone number with your name, Fortune NW, and PA, please. PA stands for practice analysis, please. And I'll give you a call and we'll set something up and we'll get moving on it. No cost to you, no expense to you, and we'll just make it happen. And with that, let's go through a recap real quick. The recap: play the bigger game, set the vision, the goals high. It's about the story we tell ourselves. Number 2, the story we tell ourselves, the story we tell our teams, because they in turn tell those stories to patients. And those stories are either positive or negative. The positive ones increases value of the business, increases production, net collection, or it's negative and it turns people away. Know your numbers, just like in exams. You know your numbers, know what it means. Growth snowballs only when you have the foundational stuff in place, but it will snowball. And treat your business like a patient. Treat it with care. Pay attention to all the details in it. You don't have to do all the work. It's not full of busy work. If you consider it busy work, you don't get the whole idea of managing a business and what leadership is about. It is truly about delegation and growing leaders within the business. At that point, the growth snowballs. Challenge is an opportunity. Oh, treat your business like a patient. Treating it like a patient, treat it well. Treat it as lovingly and caringly as you treat your patient, and it will grow. Challenges and opportunities. Well, what is it? Is it a challenge or an opportunity? Yes, it's both. Think in terms of positioning everything in a positive way, and all of a sudden, things become fun to do. They become fun. In sports, we have challenges, the opposing team. In business, we view challenges often as, whoa, the economy, the COVID-19, all these bad things happening. Well, they're challenges, yes. They're also opportunities to really get in there and make things happen for yourself, your team, and your patients. Master your communications. This is key. And then know when to say yes, which means you're making decisions on what to say no, or at least not now. You have your to-do list, which is small, your not to-do list, which is huge, and your to-do later list, which is also known as a schedule and a business plan. Trust the process, it works. Best practices are best for a reason, because they work, they've been shown to work, and be consistent about it. Turn it into a lifestyle, not a chore. And with that, I want to thank you for coming. Get back to your day. I'm going to hang on for a minute in case anybody wants to chat or have a question. Thank you all. Signing off.